Hello everyone, welcome back to my sunroom here in East Tennessee in the middle of September. It's time to start thinking about changing up the care for your Thanksgiving and your Christmas cacti. I'm going to be going over some really important things that you want to keep in mind during the months of September and October. There are specific things you need to do if you want your cactus to bloom for the holidays. My channel is sponsored by the Orchid Supply Store. I'll place a link in the description box below with their information, and you'll receive a 12% viewers discount when you use my coupon code AMY. My Thanksgiving cacti are all potted in the Glacier Gold potting mix from the Orchid Supply Store, and also they're growing in orchid pots from there. It's a great company. I've been doing business with them for a long time before they were even my sponsor. Let's talk about these gorgeous plants and how to get them to bloom in time for the holidays. The main thing that triggers a Thanksgiving cactus to bloom is a reduction in light. At least 12 hours of darkness a day signals that it's time for them to bloom. Dependent on where you live and how close you are to the equator will depend on when yours is going to bloom naturally without forcing it to bloom. Like my friend Sharon lives in Arizona. Hers doesn't bloom till February because her day lengths are longer in the fall than mine here in East Tennessee. When my sister lived in South Carolina, hers didn't bloom until March or sometimes even April. So the day lengths dictate when they bloom. You can force them to bloom for the holidays by placing a box over them or by putting them in a dark room for 12 hours a day, starting anytime from the middle of September through the 1st of October. Just remember though, it requires for you to do this for an entire month from the day you start. So you can mark your start and your stop day on your calendar to make sure you get that full month in. If you're that dedicated, that is one way to get them to bloom on time, no matter where you live. Here in East Tennessee, I get that shorter day length, so I don't have to do anything special with light. When the days get shorter here, it's very abrupt, and the darkness is even different. It's an intense, inky darkness. I don't even turn on a light back here in the sunroom after it gets dark in October. If you have yours growing in an area where there are lights on in the room at night, then you might want to move it to a completely dark place. They even sense light from a lamp. The day length here in East Tennessee is starting to get shorter already. We're now at about 12 hours of daylight. That's a signal for me to start decreasing the amount of water that I give my Thanksgiving cacti, and also to remember to stop watering during the month of October. I can already tell that my cacti aren't taking in as much water as they were last month, and I've stopped fertilizing them altogether at the beginning of September. So the thing to keep in mind with your cacti is when the days get short in the fall, you decrease the amount of water. And when you're not having to water as much, you don't need to fertilize in the fall either. Viewers have asked me why I stop watering entirely during the month of October. The answer is they simply don't need it. They've stored up water in their leaves all year long, and when the light decreases, their need for water also decreases. I might miss them occasionally in October, but they just don't need water during the month of October. That decrease in the watering, along with the decrease in light, triggers them to form buds. So the care for these slows in September. I don't fertilize, and I check to make sure during the month of September that the soil is dry to about an inch or two down into the pot before I water them. And then in October, I stop watering them completely. I'm trying to mimic as closely as possible what happens in their natural habitat that signals them to bloom. The most commonly asked question I get about Thanksgiving cacti is, I did everything right. I made sure my cactus got at least 12 hours of darkness every day for a month. It set buds. I moved it and the buds dropped. What happened? Here's what to do to keep that from happening. Set your Thanksgiving cactus where you want it to bloom before it sets buds. Once it has set buds, if you move the plant, the buds will drop and it won't bloom. So set it where you want it and don't move it. If you want it to bloom in your living room, for example, put it there during the 12 hours of darkness and let it bud and bloom there. You keep in mind to either put it under a box for 12 hours or don't turn the lights on after dark in that room for the 12-hour dark period for that entire month. And then after it blooms, you can turn it in its place, like on a turntable, so that the prettiest blooms will face in a certain direction in the room. But don't move it from room to room after it has buds, or they'll drop. That's why when you buy a new Thanksgiving cactus around the holidays, the buds all drop off when you bring it home. They are extremely sensitive to being moved. So many people buy a cactus thinking it will make a really pretty centerpiece for their table, and then all the buds drop. That's what I did when I first started growing them. But the good news is I learned how to take care of them and not to move them while they're budding, and they've bloomed for me ever since. So I'm hoping that you have the best blooms yet this year on your holiday cacti. I always look forward to reading my comment section during the holidays when yours are blooming. That's why I do these videos throughout the year, because I love hearing of your success when you follow these care tips. It just makes my day. So before I end this video, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'd love to say the blessing over you, your families, and your plants. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace. You all make it a great day, and we will talk to you next time.